So yeah, Last of Us. Before we talk about the show, I want to quickly ask, because I know you're playing it on Twitch right now. Did you finish it yet?
Yeah, it's done. Yeah, I'm already done.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Give me the ratings out of 10. What did you think of the game? No spoilers,
Uh,
obviously, for the end of the game.
I give it like a 7.5, maybe. Like I think
Yeah.
it was good. I didn't think it was great in terms of the design of the storytelling. I think that maybe they didn't think that they had enough of a perspective for the main character to be given an entire run for part two, compared to, like, in the first game with Joel. Now in the second game we have Ellie. And we had Joel the entire time for part one. So for part, like, except for like the very end when we saw Ellie. Um, in part two, like, we get half of Ellie and then half of Abby.
Yeah.
And I feel like it and then we go back to Ellie, which
Yeah.
and it was kind of like, I don't
And then
care.
don't we go back to Abby again then as well? Like, does
No,
it
no,
bounce
no.
again?
No. It's the three. So it's like it's
Okay.
Ellie. It's Ellie. It's Abby, Ellie, Abby, and then Ellie. So I guess you are right. You're like, it
Yeah.
bounces about three times.
Yeah.
Um, and essentially, like, I really liked Ellie's story. I think Ellie's story was fun. I didn't really care for Abby.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't.
Yeah.
There's no. And I'm trying not to spoil anything. It's just
Yeah.
that character is a no from me, dog. So
Yeah. And look, I'll tell you, the first time I played the game as well, I played it when it came out 4 years ago, and I felt the exact same way as you do. But the second time I played the game, I feel like you have a bit of a different perspective to the entire story once you know everything that's going on. And
mhm.
again, yeah, I don't really want to talk about the game right now, because if there are people that haven't played the game and they're watching the show and they don't know what's going on, I don't want to potentially ruin some stuff. I've seen some people online, especially on like TikTok, they're like putting up clips from the game and stuff, and they're trying to be like, I know what they're trying to do, like they're trying to like ruin the show, but it's like they're putting up spoilers for the show technically, but they're posting
Yeah.
clips from the game, and then like, oh well, the game's 4 years old, it's not really spoiling it. And it's like, come on, bro, like, just, can we leave the clips for the game for a little bit till the show's finished, maybe, and then make your comparisons all you want. So like
Mhm.
this week, for me, like, I'm a big fan of the games. Like the first, those two games probably sit in my top 10 of all time. Like I do, I love them. Like, and I'll not like, the Uncharted series is very special to me too. So like, I'm a big Naughty Dog fan. Um, I obviously am probably overcritical of the show because I love the game so much. And like, I'm sitting watching episode two. There's some parts that I really, really dislike compared to the game. And I know I probably, I'm sure I'm not the only one doing this, but I am comparing the show to the game a lot. And there's some things about the show that I think are working better than the game did. So like, there is a bit of yin and yang to it, but for the most part, I think, and like with every episode that I watch as well, I feel like the game was better at telling the story. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree 100%. The game did a really good job of giving you a perspective of the two characters in a much lighter way at the beginning, and then
Yeah.
slowly spoon feeds you until you feel like there's enough for you to kind of like, until you feel like full on one, and then you feel like you can get a little bit more of the other.
Yeah.
Um, Even if I don't like the second story that's told, it's still better in terms of like telling what the whole outcome of this operation was, like what things like what costs that they made, what consequences these characters basically created,
Yeah.
due to the fact that they performed these certain actions. And like, we're not even talking about the episode yet. This is just as a whole, like,
Mm.
when we get into like when we actually get into the episode, for episode two, it feels like it's rushing us because it doesn't believe, like, I feel like the directors or maybe the story writers didn't believe that people would understand what some of these characters were going through, and like, by the
Yeah.
time we got to the end of it. Because when you go through the game, it's essentially like a Pulp Fiction style, where it's kind of trying to tell multiple stories, in one go.
Yeah.
You know this is kind of reaching that point where, like, even at the very end of the game itself, you still get some flashbacks to things that happened in the past
Hmm.
and gives you a higher perspective on like what the real reason behind all this was.
Yeah.
And and like episode 1 kind of like after playing the game, I'm like, man, you guys really just shoehorn that stuff in. Like you just
Bro,
kind of
we were
like
on stabilizers in the show. Like and this is what annoys me about the show. It's the fact that when we like the opening credit, like the opening like fade into the to season 2, episode 1 is the Fireflies. It's directly after the first episode, and we meet Abby straight away. And then she's
yeah,
like, "His name's Joel. We gotta find him. We're gonna kill him. We're gonna kill him slow." And it's like, are they like dumbing it down because they know what's coming and they just don't want to like overly shock the crowd? I think, and I think the reason why they're doing this is because I think what would probably happen is, and my girlfriend kind of said this, and she was half joking when she said it, but half not joking as well. After the episode was finished, she goes, "Fuck this show! I don't want to watch it anymore," because she was so upset about Joel dying, right? And like,
right,
she's half joking when she says it, but she's half not at the same time because she
right.
was so shocked that it actually happened, right? But could you imagine if they told the story the exact same way as the game? Do you know what I mean? And what I'll do is for anybody who may be listening to this who doesn't play the games or they're not gamers at all, I'll tell you very quickly how the story goes for this story in the game. So the game starts, you're Ellie, you're in Jackson, everything's normal, it's 5 years in the future, you're kind of just stepping into back into the world, and then just out of nowhere you start playing as another girl. And sorry, I haven't played the game in about a year and a half, so correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is pretty much how I remember it. You start playing as this girl, you don't know who the fuck she is. She ends up getting into a spot of trouble, which we saw in the show. It was perfectly recreated. She gets into a spot of trouble. She gets like chased by a horde, and then Joel comes to the rescue. And in the game, you're kind of like, you're straight, because like you have to play as her crawling through the gate and stuff like that, and it's fucking amazing, like absolute gaming cinema in my opinion. And then someone comes to save you, and you find out it's Joel. And I remember my reaction when I first saw it in the game. I was like, "Holy shit, Joel to the rescue!" I was like, "This is fucking incredible." And then, but in the game, it's different. He's with Tommy. He's not with Dina, right? And I can kind of understand that change for pacing in the show. It kind of makes more sense because Dina will be able to kind of portray what happened, and it'll affect Ellie more and kind of motivate her more to go after them, I think. Personally, I don't know. Again, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I don't mind changes like that because I feel like it flows okay and it makes sense. Whereas the game was just different, right? So they end up going through a pretty similar rescue, but then they end up in the house. And then just out of fucking nowhere, like Tommy says something like, "How long have you guys been here? Like, you look pretty geared up. Like, you guys look like, whatever." And then Abby just turns around with a shotgun and blows fucking Joel's leg off. Like, you're like, "What the fuck?" Like, I could not believe what I was seeing in the game when it first happened, because again, we don't know who any of these people are. They just look like a couple of people who've settled in a house, and then Joel's missing half of his leg, and you're kind of like, hands in your head, like, what the fuck is going on? And then the whole thing unfolds, and the whole time you're thinking like, nah, they're not going to kill Joel. There's no way they can't just kill Joel like this, right? You're Joel, like he's the main character, and boom, Joel dies, and you're just like, holy fucking shit. And then fade to black, and that's it. Like, like, you don't know who the fuck these people are, none of this stuff. And then it's all about Ellie, just grieving, and then Tommy again so pissed off that this has happened. It's his own brother. He's like, "I'm going to find these fuckers," and he disappears. And then that kind of gives the motivation of Ellie to go after him, right? That's kind of how the game goes, and that's incredible in my opinion. But the way that the show kind of just had us on stabilizers, told us who Abby was straight away. The revenge the plot was there. So the second they show up at Jackson, like the second she meets Joel, oh fuck, it's over. You know what I mean? Like, this is it. Like, so
Right.
I didn't like that at all, man. And again,
Yeah, I didn't either, man.
my girlfriend like did like the story, and again, it's because she doesn't know what the better story was. Like, she didn't experience the game, so she doesn't know how much better it could have been and was in the game. But yeah, I feel like they kind of maybe dumbed it down, because I just think if they told it frame for frame, I think people would actually just rage quit the show. I think they'd just be like, nah, fuck this. Like, I can't watch this. Like, I genuinely think that they would lose so much viewership because of it, because people are just so attached to Pedro Pascal and to Joel. I think it would just be too much of a shock for them. But
Yeah.
they should have done it, bro. Because I know, like, there's a lot of, I don't know if you were reading up about it or remember any of the criticism about the game when it first came out, but like that death in the game, like it landed like a lead balloon back in the day, like when the game first dropped. People really did not like it. I remember like thinking like, it's a bold move getting to play as the girl who, committed the fucking murder as well. I thought another bold move. The whole Ellie story was interesting. I liked watching her kind of go dark and, bad. Like that was great as well. Like so, like for me, I love the game, but I can understand people's criticism of it. Like the fact that they just killed Joel off. Is it like in your first kind of 2 hours of gameplay? Like if I remember correctly, it's like kind of very very close to the start of the game, right?
Yeah, and for his death, yeah, it's pretty close. You get a little bit of introspective from Ellie as she's walking through the town with Jesse.
Yeah,
And like all the stuff that you see at the very beginning of the show, none of that actually occurs until like at the end of the game.
yeah,
So they've kind of reversed the roles. They kind of I think they're trying to do it in chronological order. I don't know if maybe they just think that people won't get why certain things need to be shifted
yeah,
around.
yeah,
And so, like it's just hard to tell considering like what they decided to do ultimately. Like I get that they're trying to convey that like something's going on between Joel and Ellie.
yeah,
So then you have that, but then when you have his death in the second episode, you're not going to care about that. You're not going to care about that at all. Like it's going to be all about now like who the fuck is
yeah,
like who the fuck was Abby to do all that. But at the same time, she also said what she's there for. So it's like there's no mystery. Like
yeah,
what
yeah.
do you want? Like the only mystery is
Where are they now?
I yeah,
That's
where
it.
are they now? Like
Yeah,
where do we find
but
them? It's like
she even say that though. She even mentioned she's like, don't come to Seattle. I wouldn't dare. You
I
know?
wouldn't show up
Yeah,
there. You're not going
yeah,
to go there, right?
yeah. You don't got the balls to come to Seattle. It's like okay, so like, and
Yeah.
again, I think that's why Dina it was there, so that would make sense because she's gonna probably tell Ellie, she's gonna be like, I heard her say something about Seattle, and then they're like, okay, and then I presume Tommy's gonna be like Seattle, okay, and he's gonna fuck off,
Y-
and they're gonna follow. I
you
presume.
know,
I'm guessing.
my mom got into a fight one time, like, and I've seen her fucking fight. She's vicious. So the person that she fought, um, they like you could literally hear the moment my mom's like fist cracked right into her face,
Oh my god.
and like 'cause she doesn't fight like oh my god like scrap. No, this she's a fucking boxer. So, anyways, there's that. All of a sudden, the lady like drives away and whatnot, and she says, "You better not come down Central." And the first thing my mom does, like as we're like, let's go get something to eat. And this was like maybe about a week later or so. And she's like, let's go get something to eat. Let's go run some errands. Get in the car, and she's like, hey, do you want to go down Central? So like you don't tell people where you're at
Yeah.
unless you want to be found. So
Right.
if in the show you're telling people like don't go into Seattle, it's like fuck you, you just
Yeah.
killed
See you
someone I
there.
loved. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see you right there.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like they spoon feed you everything at the beginning in a
Yeah.
worse way. I'm already like I'm not hungry. Stop feeding me this shit.
Yeah.
Like make me want to have food. Make me want
Yeah.
to have this interest, this wonder, this curiosity as to why this happened.
Yeah.
But now we know. It's like it's like in The Princess Bride. Like my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to
Yeah.
die. It's like
Yeah.
yeah, so now we know why. So, but there's no more magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's already gone.
I know. I know. Look, and I kind of feel like I don't know like as long as I can remember nearly on this podcast, we're almost giving out about everything that comes out. Like, and I hate being negative about things, but I I I don't want to sugarcoat shit either. Like, I want to be real about stuff. Like, and I think that this direction is a mistake for the most part. Now, there are some good things in the show. Like, I like the whole hive mind thing of the virus. I like how the virus is different in the show, and I think it works better on the screen. the whole scene of them fighting in Jackson was like pretty intense. It was very cool.
That's
Visually looked
that's
great.
that's probably why they decided to go the with the swap between Dina and Tommy, because
Mm.
maybe they wanted Tommy to be there for Maria,
Yeah,
so that like as they're fighting the Horde, it shows like they're both in danger, in the sense like they're both trying to protect the town. Whereas like Dina and Joel are on patrol. They're kind of like the softer group. They're the people that Ellie cares about, like immensely, essentially.
yeah,
And so like to have those two in like extreme danger, like I can see how like a net positive for the show itself. um we're going to get the perspective from Tommy, and I think it might work a little bit better, because I can't remember if Tommy goes straight out, but I know that Tommy was originally not planning to leave until Ellie promised him that she would see this through, that she would want to see this through, and then then all of a sudden he leaves a note saying that he's out.
yeah. Tommy's. I can't remember what the time frame is of the gap from when it happens to when Tommy leaves. I think it might be like a couple of weeks or something, because they have the funeral and you get the whole sequence where Ellie's like emptying out Joel's house and stuff like that. Like that all happens. So to me, that tells me like that at least probably a week or so, or maybe more. But
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do it in the show. Like, is Ellie gonna go off in a rage and Dina follows, and then Tommy's going after her? Like, are they going to change it around? I don't know how they're going to do it, but
Mhm.
it'll be interesting. Like, I'm definitely interested to see where they go with the show, and I like, obviously I played the game a couple of times, so if it was like a direct like one for one adaptation, it might not be as good. I suppose I do like spotting the differences, and again, as I say, I like how they do the virus. Like, the guys are digging up the pipes and they're activating the virus, and that's kind of telling the Horde, hey, they're over here, come on over here. Like, like
Mhm.
that concept is fucking terrifying to me. Like, if they did something like that in the game, could you imagine if like you stepped on some like roots, and then there's a Horde chasing you down the street? Like, that'd be absolutely terrifying in the game. Like, so
Oh
I,
yeah.
I I love that in the live action. I think it's really cool. I really like Dina in the live action. I didn't like her in the game. um Yet to be seen about Ellie. Like, I liked her in season one. She has some very big shoes to fill in season two. Like, Ellie in the game in season two was an absolute fucking antichrist. She's a badass. I don't know if Bella's going to be able to do that. I hope that she can. Like, I'm rooting for the show to be as good as the games, of course. I just don't know if they can pull it off. And like, I saw some interviews with them, and they were even saying that themselves. Like, they're like, we knew what was coming when we were making the first season. Like, we knew this was where it was going to go. We were kind of hoping that it's going to go down well. And Pedro was like, when I signed on for the job, I knew straight away that he died. Obviously he had done his research, or maybe he played the games, I don't know, but he knew straight away that he was going to go. And
Mhm.
it's like the second season's handing over, and like Ella's number one on the call sheet now, or Bella, sorry, is number one on the call sheet now. And it's like, can she do it by herself? I don't know.
I mean, it's just they haven't Martha.
Martha.
Oh man, but like I'm trying to give Bella the benefit of the doubt. I think that some of the like it's so hard when you do acting, from what I understand. Like it's very hard to kind of replicate what was done in video games,
Yeah.
and especially if you can't cry. If you're not able to cry on command, like it's a tough gig, especially for those moments. Like, I don't know if Ellie actually cried in the game. It's hard to tell, because considering like everything was happening all at once.
Yeah,
Um,
she definitely was.
yeah, so like we have a little bit of blood, we have some crying and whatnot. I didn't really see that from Bella. So like I'm just kind of curious as to what kind of faces that she can bring
Mhm.
as of right now, but everything seems a little stone faced, and I think that's what's kind of hurting it a little bit. I think if
Yeah.
she had a little bit more of a enthusiasm in her design, like for her character, maybe if she put herself out there a little bit more and stopped like being within her own mind, because I feel like she's kind of like mentally blocked. She's trying to portray the character, but she's not trying to be the character.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's where we kind of hit a roadblock. Whereas like you see Pedro Pascal, he's going fucking ham. Like
Yeah,
he's putting all the stops in, and I think that's why people love his character so much in the show, and they really like Pedro Pascal as an actor because like I love him in a lot of things. Like I think he's really good. I think he fits in a lot of different scenarios, and even when he's playing with people that you wouldn't think he'd play with, like Nicolas Cage and The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, like
yeah,
that was such a good fucking movie just for the fact that it was like it was just this weird perspective of like a drug lord essentially,
yeah,
and how he liked Paddington too.
yeah, yeah. He's like Paddington 2 is like the greatest movie of all time.
All the time. And he's
After watching that, I was kind of like, no, maybe I need to watch this movie. Like, what's this about? Like, like what's this reference
right,
about? Yeah, like
right,
that had me intrigued to actually watch Paddington 2. Now, props to Pedro. Like I think a lot of people say, oh, Jesus, Pedro's in everything these days, and I even only saw a meme today of like him as Thanos and he's collecting all the, DC, Marvel, Last of Us, Game of Thrones. And then it's like, the last one is like, he's going to be in the MCU now and he's going to be Reed Richards. Like, it's like, yeah, he's in everything, but he does have a real, like, vast range. I know he kind of looks the same in a lot of stuff, but I do believe that he's different characters. And I think when we see him as Reed, he'll be a different, like a completely different person to Joel. Like
right.
he might look the same. Like I think that was a lot of people's critique when he first got announced because it was like I think they saw some set photo or something, and it's like Jesus, he just looks like Pedro Pascal. It's like they didn't try and change his appearance whatsoever. Whereas he's very gritty, and they've given him the silver hair in this season of the show, and at least I think they added some facial hair to him in F4, and he does look a little different. And yeah, I suppose like look, it is what it is. But I think he has the acting ability to do anything. You know what I mean? Like he was fantastic in Game of Thrones. He was the best part of that Wonder Woman movie, which was absolutely awful. But he was the only kind of shining light in that film. Like, and again, he was pretty bad in that film, but that's not his fault. Like we know he's a good actor. That's just the
Right.
material. That's just the material. But yeah, like he's great in everything that he does. So
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly. Like there's not been a role that I saw him in that I was like, huh, why him? Like
yeah.
it's only like I would say kind of the typecast.
Hey guys, this is Finto. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe and like, and let us know in the comments what you think below. See you in the next one. Bye bye.